Sonia. I am the host of The Truth of Light. This is a podcast that a group of cosmic light beings called the Ascended Masters have asked me to start. They would like to share information with the world about the Earth and its current trajectory. So that you guys know, I channel in a multisensory way, which means that I use all of my clair abilities, and it can mean that I pause a lot because I'm listening or I'm receiving the information in another way. In every episode, a group of masters are with me and one steps forward to transmit a message. And today, that master is Lord Kuthumi. He'll be talking to us about 5D, the mechanisms behind it, and what it means for us here on Earth. I would love it if you would subscribe and follow along the whole journey. The wonderful thing about Lord Kuthumi is that he is a very straight talker. So he's letting me know that the point of 5D was that it was supposed to help us. Things have become a little bit more complicated. The so-called battle of light and dark has thrown a spanner in the works. Humanity had in some ways reached a turning point in any case. What they hadn't reckoned on was that at this turning point, the dark, which is what we call it on this podcast, just to keep things simple, the darkness sphere, would step in a very opportunistic fashion. And so the natural acceleration of consciousness has been interrupted. And he's saying that it's not like the humans helped. The way in which we have been moving ourselves forward as a civilization, societies, has been for a while more aligned to unconsciousness. And so he's just letting us know that the original plan, if you like, the original timeline started to get thrown off course, off schedule. He's saying that at some point 5D frequencies would have been naturally incoming over the course of human evolution. They've been brought in, if you like, ahead of schedule or forcibly at this point because of the imbalance and the fact that there became a tipping point of unconsciousness in the collective, in collective humanity. He's saying that the tipping point, which is slightly different to when it actually manifests on Earth, for the masters, they see things ahead of time. But the tipping point from their energetic underlying frequency was unforeseen. And it caused the masters and the other guardians of the galaxy, if you like, a lot of concern, as I think we can imagine. So as things started to become really out of balance and manifest on Earth as well, they decided that what would be helpful would be to thin the veil. The veil thinning is necessary in order for the 5D frequencies to begin to drop in. And he wants to talk about the mechanism behind that. So as 5D comes through into 3D, it does feel a bit chaotic because you have two coexisting states that are very dissimilar. They don't just meld and merge effortlessly. That can feel chaotic, it can feel like a struggle, it can feel like people are literally moving between states. For some people who are more able to hold the light, they will sort of tend towards it very naturally. It'll be helpful and supportive for them. Even they will be moving between states because that's the nature of having two coexisting frequencies that are in the process of integration. For other people, it will feel extremely chaotic. And this is where consciousness and the work that I do with clients really comes into its own, because if you are locked into an unconscious frame of mind, if you're living from an unconscious place, you will be collapsed with your experience. You will be collapsed with an idea of yourself. Often the reason why we are collapsed with ideas of ourselves is because we are living in so much fear. That fear will mean that perspective that person has on the chaos around them will be very different to the perspective of somebody who's already living from a higher frequency, or for whom higher frequencies feel more natural. Someone who is in a more conscious state, less collapsed with their experience, they'll be aware that they're moving and shifting through states. It's not that it's neither here nor there for them. There'll still be an unusual experience. They might still question it, but it will be in their awareness, and they'll be conscious enough of it for it not to impair their experience of themselves. Someone who's living through fear and is locked in an unconscious state, very much collapsed with their experience, not in touch with their soul state, in the belief, let's say, of the illusion. They really think that this is reality, and they really believe that they are their struggles. They will feel the chaos around them and will take that to mean something about themselves. And the perspective of fear will create more fear, because they're not going to believe something good about it, right? Someone like myself, I mean, just to speak personally, I can feel myself shifting through states, so I am often aware of it. I can tell when I am triggered, I can tell when I'm in something, and I can just work with it. Old me, let's say, just to keep it personal, would not have been able to do that. There's a version of me that would have not been able to see the shifting states. I would have felt that chaos as mine. And that is a scary place. And ever the pragmatist, LK is saying that that is something that had to be factored in. That there will be souls here who will feel the chaos around them in a very personal way. That will lock them further into fear. And there is a chance that they may not move onto the path to consciousness. They may be the very last. They might sort of come kicking and screaming onto the path. So that is part of the mechanism of 5D, and it does have fallout. The purpose of 5D is, of course, not to cause chaos. That's a necessary outcome, temporary outcome. And it's worth saying that temporary from the perspective of the Ascended Masters is somewhat different to temporary from a human life perspective. LK is saying that really what he'd love to get across is that don't fear the chaos that's going on. That is part of the upleveling. In many ways, it's showing us that change is happening. The chaos that the 5D frequencies bumping up, if you like, against 3D frequencies are causing, it's not long term. And it actually has the benefit of creating enough chaos, even though that's not a human being's favorite state, to elicit change. Because people in chaos, other than the aforementioned people who maybe batten down the hatches, there are lots of people who will simply either rise to the challenge or they'll just start doing something different, if only in order to seek more safety or a safer state. The Masters at LK is saying that from their perspective, this is a safe state. There is safety in this chaos, and a lot of the safety can be found inside your own body. LK is saying that at the moment there's a sort of an inclination or an urge or a push to going to the body to have altered states. So I'm imagining like plant medicine and breath work, something along those lines. What the Masters would love to see is people spending more time in the present moment in their own bodies, contacting the safety that is always there. That is a major part of the path to consciousness. It's not only a spiritual and a mental game, because we're humans, we have a vessel. The body's got to sort of come along with us. The way that I work is to move into somatic work along with the spirit and the mindset side of things, because we can't leave the body behind. And what they're calling LK is calling a full state of recognition can't take place, literally cannot take place, until the alignment has happened. Part of the reason why chaos is so uninviting is because there's a natural disalignment. There's just a natural disalignment in humans in general, right? Our body is feeling one thing, our mind is saying something else, we haven't opened sufficiently enough to spirit to be fully aligned in a sort of in an attunement sense of the word, where you just attune yourself and align perfectly. That isn't our current state. So that is something that we can help ourselves by working towards. The way that they are handling the collateral is through creating waves. I believe Dolores Cannon talked about waves. I don't know if I'll be talking about it in the same way, but I have personally transmitted messages about how there are different iterations of purpose that the souls that are able to move people forward are aligning to. And there is a certain group of souls who are here to handle the souls for whom this is a little too chaotic, but who aren't going to exit. And that is going to require a lot of compassion, because those souls who are going to stay, not exit, and for whom this is really terrifying and chaotic, have come in to do some seriously heavy lifting, because what an experience to choose. Another mechanism is the thinning of the veil. So I know a lot of us can feel that right now. For someone like me who is inclined to feel it, it's been happening for a very long time. But now, whether people admit it or not, it is there for the collective, for humanity to feel. And what LK is saying is that although it's considered a different technology, I call it a technology, although it's considered a different discipline, one of the ways in which we can feel that is through the planetary movements. So although astrology would be considered would be often considered, not by everybody, not by me, because I do it alongside the rest of my work, but for a lot of people, there's an astrologer, and then there would be, say, the mindset side of things. Actually, the thinning of the veil is allowing cosmic influences through, which includes the planetary influences. And more people are attuning to that and feeling that. And that's part of why astrology is growing in so much popularity, because whether people realize it or not, that is what they're attuning to. A part of them will know that, and then that's the information that they will seek. There is a growing psychism around the world and a growing madness. And the two go hand in hand, because there will be people who allow themselves to see through the veil, or see, let's just even say, the transparency of the veil. That in itself could be quite shocking. And there'll be other people who deny it. And it's not to say that the people who deny it will all go mad. It's rather that some people are in resistance in different ways. He's saying people don't want to see what they don't want to see. And that humans are really good at that. The growing psychism is part of the veil thinning. And the veil thinning is necessary in order for the 5D frequencies to begin to drop in. Ultimately, the psychism that people are starting to feel within themselves, the way that they are attuning to energy or feeling energy, becoming more sensitive towards energy, really what they're tuning into is the gifts that are all naturally ours. LK is saying that there is an activation point within 5D, or rather 5D will be naturally activating those gifts because they're in resonance. They're already ours, they're inherently within us. They're meeting a frequency that resonates, and therefore they are sort of uprising, if you like. They're coming through more clearly. Ultimately, the aim of introducing 5D frequencies is to accelerate the path to consciousness, and that people can live in a 5D state in the 3D world. He's saying that that's something that that is sort of maybe missed some of the time, or that people maybe don't believe it's possible. But he's saying that he assures us it is possible. Now, that's not to say that those that can access the 5D state will be able to stay there sort of forever in the 3D realm. That would be not impossible, but slightly unlikely. But it is more possible than impossible. And that's important for us to recognize. Once it's been accessed, it's forever accessible. It's always there. It's always something that we can return to. It's the accessing it the first time, if you like, or the allowing of the accessing that is the trickiest part. And that's what we have for this episode. I would love to thank the Ascended Masters and especially Lord Cthulhu. He is reserving the right to come back and talk about other mechanisms in another episode, which I hope that you are looking forward to as much as I am. I would love it if you guys would subscribe and join me for the rest of the journey.